Uh-oh.
Oh, shit. It happened.
We're live.
We switched.
If only we could have seen a countdown.
I was looking at my phone.
Keep bringing the heat in the chat. I like it.
I wasn't paying attention. I got nothing here. One more?
Yeah. There you go.
Morning. Welcome to Don't Be the Artist. I'm Hagen.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Dave.
That was weird.
And we are joined by a very special guest this episode. I fucking told you we were going to do that.
I know you did, and then it was still weird.
Oh, my God. I know. Anyway, our guest is drummer, percussionist, educator, music director, and the inventor of Creamed Goose. I've gotten to hear and play with our guest, Connor, for a long time now, but most recently we did some touring together in Canada where he was playing drums and music directing.
What a terrible country, right?
I know.
What a terrible country.
We thought we could have him here today
The first words he has
to pick his brain about being a music director. Canada,
Welcome.
speak honestly. What did you think of Canada as a country?
I've been to Canada.
But this time,
With
a Canadian that you actually liked.
Yeah, it's it's great. It's normal. It's not really any different than the US.
Yeah.
People overhype the stereotypes, and it's just, I don't know.
They're stereotypes.
Alberta is Texas. It's just the same thing.
Damn.
Vancouver is like Seattle. You know what I mean? Like it's
North Seattle.
Canadians in the chat. This is crazy. Can we give it up one time for Connor? Yeah.
Connor Kent.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Does this feel like serious to you? Does this feel like professional? Like, do you feel like you're in a really like in the hot seat?
What does professional mean? I don't know.
Okay. We're off to a great.
I like that.
What does professional mean to you? And hey, this is the first question for you. You don't have to answer that.
I mean, I can. How serious do you want me to be? Because I can get real serious or real zany. So.
For our perspective, for our money, you can go any which way, and we're always going to take it back we're gonna take it back to shit. So,
great.
But we love serious. So but we also love zany. So you do a little of this, a little of that. I know Dave has a lot of like questions, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
I said I was doing an introduction.
Okay, great.
I have lots of thoughts, but I have a lot of
Dave
stuff
has lots
written
of
down.
things, but there's a lot of blank space.
I was gonna say I have some questions to kind of start us off with, and so you said it great, Dave, that drummer, percussionist, educator, music director, but
arranger.
Yeah.
But what was like the first? How long have you been doing this, and how did you get into it?
Well, my dad plays drums like as a hobby, so I always grew up around drums. All of the baby pictures of me are like on my dad's lap behind a drum set. So, I mean, I've been playing forever. I took it seriously in middle school. And then the thing that I like to say is like in high school as a freshman, I was like, I'm going to be a chemistry major. And then in college. And then my sophomore year of high school, I was like, well, maybe I'll be a chemistry major and a music minor. And then my junior year, I was like, maybe I'll be a music major with a chemistry minor so that I still have something that's like safe. And then by my senior year, I was like, there's only one thing that I can do, and it's got to be music. Like, what was I even thinking?
And was it like so you've been playing since before middle school?
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Okay, so was it always like because you went to school for jazz? Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Was it always jazz, or was it something else that led you into that eventually?
I mean, yeah, for me, like the early memories are John Bonham. You know, my dad is a huge like Zeppelin head, but also like both of my parents are huge music lovers. Where we would listen to, I don't know, Preservation Hall Jazz Band.
Sure.
And then the next day we would listen to Disturbed or some new metal thing. And then, you know, I'd go in the car with my dad and he would say, we're going to listen to something, don't tell your mom. And then it would be like Missy Elliott or something. You know, it's like whatever was kind of like in vogue. Like my dad has really good taste. So we would just like listen to crazy random stuff. It was always something different. So
that's cool.
Yeah. A lot of jazz early on, just because that's usually what your opportunity to play drum set in school is.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah,
so in middle school, there's a middle school jazz band. I get to play drum set. I was doing drumline and the orchestral percussion thing too, but I wanted to play drum set.
And then when it comes to higher education, it's like you go for jazz or classical.
Yeah, I mean, you could do like a pop thing, like at Berkeley or Belmont or something. But
because you're around our age, right? I mean, okay. So whenever I got to UNT, there was only a handful of colleges that were doing like the pop music program.
Yeah.
Now there's quite a few more, but
It's becoming more of a thing.
yeah. But at the time, there was Berkeley, maybe Belmont.
Yeah,
and
USC.
USC had just started theirs right around that time.
But also a large part of it being that going to getting a higher education in music, especially in a jazz degree, you're not only playing jazz.
of course, and realistically, like if you want to play any instrument, I think that learning like the classical version of that, like if you want to be a pianist, learning a little bit of classical piano is going to help your technique. There's no such thing as classical drum set. So it's like, let's learn the genre that this instrument was invented for, which is jazz. It helps you understand like, why is the drum set these pieces? You know, like why did this drum set exist? How did it evolve this way?
Yeah.
So like knowing the history just kind of helps you know.
I think that's probably the best perspective I've ever heard on that, because that was like the farthest thing that I could imagine for me play as a drummer, like is learning jazz. But like that is the most, like that is the best way to describe it. I've never heard it described that way. Is like this is basically classical drum set education is jazz. That's brilliant.
When did you start taking lessons?
I started taking lessons in 5th grade.
Yeah. That's early. I mean, that's not early. I was just much later than that.
No, I think,
Yeah.
I think that is early. I think that's I think that a lot of kids who start, whether it be like elementary school or like early middle school, there's like a high chance that they quit. Or there's a high chance that they switch instruments or whatever, because a lot of times, I mean, I don't know how you felt about like your teacher at that time, but a lot of times like it's hard to find the right teacher for that age to instill the love of the instrument further outside of your own like hopeful passion.
Yeah, I definitely did not have the right teacher, but I was like, I was like too nice. I was kind of like, oh, like this is cool. Like I'll just, you know, for me, it's like I'm still get to learn drum set, you know.
Right.
But I was like, I want to learn jazz, and the guy was like, absolutely, we'll learn jazz. We're gonna start with the fundamentals. I was like, great. And then he's like, yeah, and if you just buy this double kick pedal, you know, and if you just do this, and I was kind of like, well, I kind of want to more work on like jazz so that I can get into the band in middle school.
Yeah.
And we're working on all these like odd groupings, and it's like stuff that I look back on now. I'm like, that's cool that I learned that, you know, but like that's definitely not what I wanted to learn. But my parents were like, do you like this, or should we find another teacher? And I was just too nice. I was like, oh, it's fine. But luckily I had like my like the directors at my school, like in middle school and high school, like had drummers that would like come in from when I was in middle school from the high school to kind of teach the basic stuff. And then my band director in high school was like an incredible big band drummer who happened to like be the band director of our school. He actually got, this is kind of a funny thing, but like he built the program. Like our high school was built in the early 70s, and like he got hired to teach for the first class, you know, he was brought on. And I think it was like the month that he like signed the contract or whatever to like, you know, work at the school, he got a call from Elvis's manager saying like, hey, we need a new drummer, and like you've been recommended, and like all these people, you know, said that you're the guy. And he's like, like I'm really honored by this, but like I just did this and I really want to build this program here. And they're giving me a lot of opportunity. I can start a jazz band here, which is like, you know, in high school or in a high school band back then, doing jazz is kind of crazy. But so he turned down the Elvis gig, and then like the first year he taught there, Elvis died. So I don't remember what year Elvis died, but it was like right around that time, which is crazy.
That's a gamble that he won.
Yes.
That's a winning gamble.
There should be a fucking movie about that.
Yeah. It's wild.
That's correct. That literally sounds like a scene out of a movie. That's crazy.
Including Elvis's death.
Well, just imagine like the build up to like a music educator starting a jazz program. They get the call to go play. No, I'm gonna be a teacher.
but
and that's the trailer.
Yeah. And then he taught
J.K.
there.
Simmons.
Yeah, and then he taught there until like my senior year was his last year there. So it's like, I mean, he had like a 40-year career.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy, and he really built a bunch of people that we went to school with at UNT are from my high school.
Wow.
Dang.
Like Austin Bird, Nolan Bird, Alex Hahn, John Hallman, a bunch of people.
Killers.
That's wild.
All killers.
Yeah. That's wild.
So that would you say he's like your first mentor, that guy? Or would you say maybe Ed Soph?
No, I would say, yeah, Rich Watson was probably my first like mentor, just because, I mean, it's not like he was super buddy and nice to me. Like he was
Sure.
a hard ass teacher. Like he was definitely more in the old school, like to where he stopped teaching band my last 2 years of high school, or maybe my last year of high school, and only did jazz band because he didn't want to deal with the regular kids because they wouldn't practice. And his normal methods of scaring you to practice like weren't working on the younger kids anymore. He was very, very old school. But yeah, we have a great relationship now. Like we'll
That's great.
talk and, you know, I don't know. He's awesome.
What I'm heading towards is I believe that the ingredients that you need to be a good music director, which I think you are, is that a lot of the times it's the mentors that you've come up with.
Oh, absolutely.
They shape you into
Yeah.
that person that can take charge like that. So I wanted you to talk about your experience with those mentors and how they maybe led you to be in that position.
Totally. I mean, yeah, it's like, I would say more as like in my, teaching style. I mean, maybe in like my music directing as well, but definitely as a teacher, I feel like super, super, super lucky to have had really awesome teachers. And that puts like a level of responsibility on me to like make sure that that information gets passed on, because there's so much like bad information. You know, anybody that has an opinion, it's going to go out on the internet and that might reach a young drummer that's really just not going to help them, you know? So I just feel, with a lot of my peers and myself included that have had great teachers, it's like, it really is, there's like a little bit of a weight to that. Like we were really fortunate, but we need to, you know, it's the whole thing. Like if you want to keep it, you have to give it away.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just that whole,
Pass that along.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty great. So I'm gonna go back to jazz for 1 second.
Yeah.
So you started playing jazz in middle school.
Yep.
And then all the way through.
Jazz in quotes. I don't think I
Okay,
was
sure,
really, you
sure.
know,
Okay, yeah, but that was like that
You
was the
attempted
idea.
to play
I
jazz
was
in middle
attempting
school.
to play jazz in middle
Perfect,
school.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, and then all the way into higher education, into the collegiate level.
What's up, Lupe? Lupe's in the chat.
Lupe's in the
man.
chat.
The butcher.
He's
El
the
Carnicero.
butcher. That nickname, I've never heard Lupe called the butcher. Is that his nickname?
Well, we can't talk about that on
Okay.
the pod.
Okay. But also, that is the most hilarious nickname for Lupe, because he is not that. It wouldn't be that.
I've heard a different name for Lupe.
Yeah.
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 There's a lot of names. Muchos nombres.
So all the way into like higher education for jazz, and you still play it, yes? And is that
Absolutely.
also what you that's also like what you teach primarily too, right? Is that
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, a lot of my students, either privately or at the university that I teach at, are some of them are really they really want to play jazz, and some people are forced to do drum set lessons as part of their classical percussion degree or music ed degree, and I give them tools that are going to help them communicate how to attempt jazz. You know,
Okay,
it's like
got you. Okay.
if you're teaching middle school in a small Texas town, like you might have a jazz band, and if you've never taken drum set and you don't have any idea, like you're not going to be able to guide these people. So I'm going to give you the kind of some bare minimum, some listening, some styles, some coordination stuff, just so that you have a small grasp on the fundamentals of it.
okay?
It's tough for me to say I'm teaching jazz because
Got
it's like
you.
that is a lot deeper to me.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah,
So all of that leads me to the like maybe silly question, but I feel like it's relevant to anybody that has studied music, and obviously you still do jazz, but is that where you return to? Like if you're listening to music, if you're playing, if you're anything, is jazz going to end up being like your home base type of thing?
that's a good question. I think that it's.
Now I ask it while you think about it. I ask it because I did classical voice.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. And there's no world where I go back to it. There's like once a year where I'm like, oh, look at these books that I used to sing out of.
Yeah.
There's like nostalgia almost versus like this is something that I still listen to or still even like do, right? I mean, I teach voice, but it's not always classical voice, right? Of
course.
So it's like it's a thing of like does education on that level or not only education but just doing it as much as you have, do you feel like that has changed your your love or perspective on that like style, or are you still just like this is just awesome?
Yeah, I mean it's still awesome.
That's a good answer.
There's
yeah.
something that's different. I mean, this isn't to like shit on classical voice by any means, but
Please.
it's kind of like it existed at a time, and how much are we doing anything new with it now? Like,
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
know, because that's not the thing that I'm into. But most of the most of the stuff that you like studied or whatever you studied, you like look out of books or whatever, it's like it's rep from a certain period,
100%,
right?
yeah.
And like jazz is constantly evolving, which is something that's so beautiful about this art
Yeah.
form, is that it's like it's, you know, in the 60s there was a lot of it was just like the popular music at the time. They would take it, put cooler chord changes to it, blow over it, all of a sudden it's jazz. It's like a million people are still doing that today, and there's like
Right.
indie rock jazz and hip hop jazz and
Totally.
prog jazz and all kinds of crazy nonsense that's just coming out every second, you
Yeah.
know. And that's just even like with American jazz, you know. It's
Right.
like there's a for every style of music, there is now a jazz version of that. You
Right.
know, listening to Armenian jazz, listening to Peruvian jazz, like it just it's never gonna end. And then you start mixing those things of like, okay, now we have this like hip hop Peruvian jazz. Like, what is going? You know, it's just like there's always this expansion that it makes it so that it's like I can never be like, well, I finished it. You know, I've listened to all the rep. It's like, no, that doesn't exist. You know,
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
But as someone who is maybe not defending jazz, but you could say that some people who are saying that they're jazz musicians would take that position of, well, there's many different kinds of jazz. I find a lot of those musicians don't partake in those. They're not very curious about actually learning how to play those styles, but you are very curious about that
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, percussionist, because to our listeners, they might not think that there's a huge difference between a drummer and a percussionist, but when you get deep into that world, that oftentimes there's a split, a fork in the road, where
Yeah.
you're a drummer, like a drum set player, or a percussionist.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people that you went to UNT with, where both of us went to school, a lot of them excelled at both and continue to excel at both.
yeah.
So how do you continue to foster that interest in that music? Because you've done tours, recently you've been touring with groups that you're not necessarily playing percussion, but it's not American jazz.
Definitely not. Yeah. The group is it's a lot of like it's like Persian chamber music mixed with yeah, I mean, I would call it chamber music, certainly. But there's a lot of improvisation, and I'm playing drum set because they want the sound of drum set, but I'm also playing very delicate, like flat ride and a bunch of like little percussion things and
Yeah.
other stuff. So it's not like the sound, you know, it's not just like a rock drum set. It's kind of a fusion thing.
You
But
know who Glenn Kochi is for
Yeah,
Wilco? Okay,
of course.
that's
Yeah.
like that type of shit.
totally
Yeah.
imagine that, but like at the volume of a very small jazz. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah,
you know, it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I have to play super delicate because I'm playing with like cello and this like
Right.
dulcimer instrument that they're mic'd a little bit, but they can't crank it because it'll feed back.
Right.
So it's an interesting challenge too, and everything is in really fast 7 or 5/16, you know, and it's like it's all these things that I've done in different situations, but now I'm putting it together in a new way, which is always super fun.
Yeah, and you're touring it, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I mean to go back to like I think that you're 100% right on the like the classical voice. The rep is done.
Yeah.
I think the thing that like we take from that is we take like technique and go, here's how we can apply good technique to singers who are singing new stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
Whereas like I feel like drum set technique is still it feels like drum set technique and acoustic guitar and guitar technique are kind of almost one and the same in some regard, where it's like we got to find what works best for you. And like there are definitely things that are like, no, that's wrong, but there's also things of like I've seen so many different players who are great players do something that it's like I would have never ever like done that with. I would have never angled my snare that way. Even
Yeah.
that feels like something that's like that's totally wild, but like great players. I forget the guy's name. Jack White's drummer.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that guy's name? His snare is fully like angled.
whole
It's like,
kit.
yeah, it's like facing him.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I would consider
That's
that
the opposite of like what is it, Daru Jones?
Yeah.
That's what we're
Where
talking
everything
about.
is facing away.
Okay, that's
It's
the one.
Daru
Yeah,
Jones.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the one.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's like
Yeah, everything is facing away, so
that's
he's
it,
sitting
yeah,
on
yeah.
top of it.
Right. Yeah. But it's like that. Like to me, I look at that and I'm like, this is wrong. Like, but it's like there's so many different like kind of ways to go in and out of that you kind of find on your own path. Whereas like in the classical voice world, it is like, or in classical world, it's like this is how we do it.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
mean,
that's. Oh, sorry.
Some of that is because classical is such an old like genre as a whole.
Yeah.
Like jazz is relatively new in the grand scheme of music, right?
Right,
If
yeah.
you think about how old classical is, so that has to play a role, I
Well,
imagine.
I think the bigger part of that is that the improvisational aspect, like people that are working on improvisation are already. I mean, if they've mastered that, they're not thinking in terms of like right or wrong. And not to get too like woo woo,
No,
but like
100%.
you know, like yeah, if your voice isn't creating a certain thing, you know, that's the standard for classical voice, then it is wrong.
Right.
But like you can make like a bad sound in another genre, and it's like, for example, something that's like very basic. If you play the snare drum, like our default most beautiful sound on the snare drum is playing in the center of the head.
Right.
And if you play on the very edge and it's all ringy, you would say, that's not a good sound. But if you're playing Brazilian music, that's exactly the right sound, right? Because of it's the style of music, it's like the feeling. So it's not right or wrong. It's like what's appropriate or inappropriate.
Right.
Which that's, I mean, I'm just regurgitating all the stuff from Ed Soph, like
and that's perfect.
That's my guy,
That's amazing.
He should be every drummer's guy.
Yeah. Honestly.
Okay, so before I have one more thing I want to do before we go, we ask the big question for you. But now I am sorry about this question. Okay. Can you explain?
Who's your favorite drummer?
Can you explain to the class how your hands work? Because you're a lefty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna tell perhaps an embarrassing story. There's
Parents, put your kids to sleep.
no shot you remember this.
Okay.
So you were playing a show at the house venue we used to run with Unmarked Graves, I believe.
I remember that show because there's a couple photographs from that show that I hold near and dear to my heart. Yeah.
So I was sitting in what we called the sound booth, and I was watching you play, and I saw your left hand and right hand basically do the exact same thing. I was like blown away by the fact that you were left hand leading and then right hand leading, and fills that ended on either direction. And I walked up to you and I was like, how? And you were very patient with me and very nice and explained how that. But I still am blown away by how it seriously is baffling. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I understand, you're left-handed,
Correct.
but you had to play right-handed, right? Like in school, right? Like you had to sit at a right-hand kit, right?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Yeah. So that kind of forced you to do both. But when you're set up, you have like a left side ride as well as a right side ride. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
What was any of that like? How did you struggle a lot with that? Like,
Why don't you just pick one?
Yeah, exactly. Let me give you the backstory on that. So I'm left-handed. I write left-handed. But I think most left-handed people are forced to do right-handed things so that they never do everything left-handed. So I think I kick right-footed. I think I shoot right-handed. I play hockey left-handed, but golf right-handed. Sometimes if I'm playing like tennis or pickleball, I'll just switch because neither one feels like bad. Not that I'm great at any of these sports, but
sure.
I think there's just like things where I don't.
How do you brush your teeth?
Left hand, but for like a few months in, I think my senior year of high school, I did everything right-handed just to try to be more right-handed, like opening doors and eating and like failing at it.
Out of frustration that being left-handed is not normal.
I did that with my left hand. There was a solid like year where I brushed my teeth with my open doors with my left hand, like everything.
Yeah. There's like something about like strengthening your non-dominant hand.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Our next gig, Hagen's gonna have a ride symbol on the left side. I'm gonna be like, put that thing away. Put that thing away.
Don't try.
No, so I set up fully left-handed in the beginning because my dad was like, he's a drummer, he knows that I'm left-handed, so let's just set the kid up left-handed for him. So I played left-handed, and then when I got into middle school jazz band, the 8th grade drummer, who was much bigger than me, was right-handed and just said no, like we're not gonna change the drum set left-handed. And I was like, oh. Well, he's bigger than me.
Dude,
so,
this is like whiplash.
Yeah. I'm like, I guess like I'll figure this out. Again, I was like too nice, in the same way. I was just like, oh, okay.
And then he said,
like,
tune the kit to B flat.
Yeah, exactly.
so
did you start trying to do like...
that's how I played all through high school.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's so stupid.
Your left hand was
crossed over to the right on this side like an idiot. It didn't make any sense at all. I think I figured it out by like maybe my junior year of high school.
Sure. That's still like 2 years.
So much time. And like my drum teachers are like roasting me, being like, why are you doing this? I mean, it was dumb. And then I saw there was like a very pivotal moment where I watched, there's a YouTube video of Billy Cobham playing Nutville with Horace Silver. If that doesn't mean anything to you guys, it's a jazz drummer playing a jazz tune with a jazz pianist.
Yeah,
And,
Nashville is not a location; it's a song.
Yeah, but it's like a really kind of crazy song. And he's playing what I learned later was called open-handed, where it's the drum set is set up righty, but the ride cymbal is on the left side, and you're playing ride with your left hand rather than playing it with your right hand like you normally would. So I saw him play that, and I was like, my mind was blown. Like I could just move the ride cymbal from the right side to the left side instead of crossing here like an idiot. So, and like, I don't know why anybody didn't tell me that earlier, but
Maybe
whatever.
there should be classical drums.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm joking. My favorite drummers to watch are open-handed drummers.
Yeah.
And sometimes when drummers frustrate me the most is when non-open-handed drummers try to play open-handed.
Oh, yeah,
especially on pop gigs when they're like, this is a straight 4 on the floor and I'm playing eighth notes. I can just switch hands. It's like, no, I can tell.
All of a sudden the
groove
feel
now.
is just tanked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anyway, I was playing that way. It just like, it makes more sense than playing lefty. I realized that like, if I ever want to sit in, which is like a big part of sort of jazz education or jazz culture is you go to a jam session, you sit in, right?
Right.
I'm not going to say like, hey, I'd love to play drums. Give me 5 minutes while I move your floor tom and your snare drum and then like move everything around, switch the rack tom. You know, like people would hate that. So I just figured it's easier for me to just switch the cymbals. And a lot of times in jazz too, people are playing 2 ride cymbals anyway.
Right, yeah.
So it doesn't really make a difference. You know, for pop gigs, I do have to switch a crash and a ride, but
So would you be comfortable at a completely left-handed drum setup?
no, not at all.
Not at all?
No.
Oh.
And in fact, when I play like on my church gig, like I play everything as if I were right-handed. I just don't cross for the hi-hat, but I'll play right-hand ride the whole gig.
Yeah.
I don't switch them there.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that was my next question is how comfortable are you with like right hand lead, like right hand ride, right hand hi-hat? Is that something that you feel really comfortable with? Or I mean, it probably wouldn't be as comfortable as like open-handed.
Yeah.
But is that something that you feel like you could do like no problem?
I would say if I had to guess like a rough estimation, I feel like 75. I'm like my right hand lead is like 75 or 85% as good as my left hand lead.
Okay.
There's like the fringe of like really fringe tempos, like the really, really fast or really, really slow tempos where my right hand is just not going to have the same dexterity or like sensitivity.
Sure.
And then, like certain coordination-y things, you know, like I can play some pretty wild coordination stuff where my left hand's on the ride cymbal and my, you know, like if you're doing any sort of like Afro-Cuban thing where you're keeping Cascara on the cymbal and you're doing something over here comping, I can't quite always do that, or if I can, it sounds like an exercise and it doesn't sound like music.
Right.
So it's not quite the same feeling. So I'm gonna bail on it because it's for me. It's like I want it to feel good. I don't want
Right.
to
100%.
I'm not doing this to show off.
Yeah.
You have a discernible ear where you're like, oh, this is actually suffering. The band is suffering because I'm trying something.
Yeah.
Instead
And
of just
that's not to
doing
say that I don't do that on some gigs, like background gig.
Oh,
I
come
might just
on.
play, you know, for a while just to.
On like wallpaper gigs?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll play all right-handed.
What is a wallpaper gig for those who don't know?
Sorry. A wallpaper gig is when you're hired to play at like a fancy function and as in like the jazz setting.
Yeah.
And no one's going to pay attention to you. So you're just like the wallpaper.
Yeah.
You're there to look good.
You're just, you're literally a decoration of sound, you know, where
Right.
it's like
Okay.
they're not listening to you, but like, oh wow, jazz this is classic.
It's part of the party that they're trying to provide is like,
Yeah.
well, we have a jazz band.
Yeah.
Which keep them coming. I love them. You know, but
As a bass player, those are the gigs where I still get asked, like, do you have an upright? The client thinks it would look good.
It would.
Yeah, I know. I get it. It's a beautiful looking instrument, but it's like hilarious.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, my rate is now a lot higher.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go rent one.
So, Adam, what is a music director?
In what context?
Just answer the fucking question.
Okay. I would
Answer the fucking
I
question.
would think the adult in the room kind of running the business of the show or the performance.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's
It's like
pretty,
a stage director, but for the music side of
That's
things.
pretty good. I asked you because it's always nice to hear your perspective on something like so specific as music directing, right? Now, Connor, what would you say is a music director?
What is it actually?
I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The way that I look at it, it sounds way more formal than I think it really is. Like, you know, even you calling me like, well, you're a music director and you're this. It's like, yeah, I guess I am, but I don't necessarily. I don't. Hey, Connor, music director, nice to meet you. You know, Like I'm a drummer, you know. But yeah, for me, it's like it's a person that, you know, has the idea of not just what your own part is, but what everybody's parts are, what they could be. Is an idea person, is a communicator. A lot of what I think I do when I am music directing, there's a couple different bands that I do that in. It's mainly like I'm rehearsing the band in real time without a rehearsal. You know, I'm calling things over a talkback mic. A talkback mic, for those who don't know, is a microphone that is only going to the musician's ears, so not to the audience. So I can be you know, cracking jokes and oh, I thought you were like reaching for one of these to throw.
No. I'm gonna pull up one of those jokes. It's gonna be shitty audio, but
You can well, I was gonna say you can connect to the thing by Bluetooth and play it off of the board, but
but yeah, it's like I can crack jokes to the band that the audience won't hear, but you know, a more useful application is like calling a break, like, hey, we're gonna break on 3, or we're gonna do these hits, and things that you would go over in a rehearsal, but nobody has time to rehearse or the budget to rehearse anymore. Right. So it keeps the band super tight because I have a bird's eye view on how I want things to sound. So, you know, I can maybe even if you know, for one of the bands we play in, it's like a 2-hour show and it's very, very, very specific parts. And so, you know, if the goes to the bridge and the guitar player plays the wrong chord, I can call out 6, you know, so that they know what to play. And it's not just like all of a sudden we're floundering or somebody's playing the wrong progression, you know, or it's like maybe at the end of this pre-chorus, it hangs on the 5 chord for 2 bars instead of 1 bar. And I can say like, hold the 5 for 2 bars, or I can say 8th note build. I can do the things that maybe you would say in a rehearsal. Right. But I can remind them in real time, or I can call out breaks in real time. So I can say like, we're playing and I'll say break on 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and, you know, and now we've all done that. Wow. We're so well rehearsed. But really I'm just saying that, you know, and especially like when you play a lot together, it's like, if you're playing the same music all the time, you know, if the band is having fun, it's going to give permission for the audience to have fun. 100%. Right. So if I can make it more fun for us in a musical way and not just like go crazy and shred and, you know, just like play a bunch of bullshit.
Fucking
like,
jam.
Yeah, we don't want that. But it's like, hey, if we all hit these hits together, or if we do this reharmonization together, or if we do something like, it's going to keep us on our toes, keep us having fun, which again, that translates to an audience having fun.
Totally. Yeah. So I think that that's a perfect way for anyone who's listening to understand what a music director does and could do. I think that for me and for I think a lot of people, I think the craziest part to me is the understanding of the band. Yeah. So like, I think that there's a lot of moving pieces, right? Take just a 4-piece. You know, you have maybe 2 guitars, bass player and a drummer, right? Forget about the singer, but just just that, right? Just that, because I mean, I would imagine it's harder or impossible to call out things to singers, right? So
no, we'll get there.
Sure, yeah. But let's just take like the band, right? Yeah. So like that by itself, you then have to now, let's say in the band you guys are playing in, you have to understand 2 hours worth of music backwards and forwards. There's no like. There's no, well, I'm not really good on that song. No, right. You have to be good on every single song, and you have to know what every single person's like part is basically, right? Because if you made that call, like, hey, out on and 4 coming up, right? Then, but if Dave had a bass part that's like, well, I have to play a note here. Yeah. Sorry, I can't do that. Like that feels like you have to know everything. So the main question and thing that I am so amazed by is like how long and how much work does it go into understanding the whole of a performance like that, or rather like to understand each part of it and have it like it's in your head, right? I mean, like you don't have like music in front of you, right?
Well, actually, I do have some. I don't have like a drum set like parts, right? But I will have like sometimes I need to call lyrics. Oh, if it's like maybe a newer song or something, like I might, or if, you know, for example, if we do like a live version of the song where we skip verse 2 and we just do verse 1 and verse 3 or something, it would be really easy for the vocalist to sing verse 2. So I need to like call that out, right?
I see.
Yeah, especially in a scenario where, you know, if we're playing to like a sold out theater and there's more energy than normal coming from the audience at the band, you have to keep such a level head. And so then the singer in that scenario feeling all that love might have a moment where they're like, oh crap, I don't remember the word.
Yeah,
Or
they're also focusing on choreography and on interacting with
Right.
an audience. They might have there's a lot of different situations, especially, and for me too. Like I don't have all of the chord progressions memorized. You know, it's
Sure.
like I don't think I could. You know what I mean? Honestly,
Yeah,
that's just
okay.
like not my bag, and that doesn't come through on my instrument. So it's like hard for me. So I will have like charts up occasionally. Again, not that I'm really reading, but it's for me to remember lyrics, maybe remind people, hey, you know, there's a common mistake that when the bass player subs, a lot of times they'll miss this one thing or whatever,
Sure.
you know? And
Yeah.
one other thing that you were mentioning when you're talking about knowing everybody's parts, in one of the bands that we play in, you know, there might not be an electric guitar part on the record. So I'm coming up with a live version where I'd say, hey, can you do that like Nile Rodgers, you know, thing over this section? I think that would really work. Or like, hey, on this one, we're going to try to make it feel more heavy and more live. Can you do some like, can you copy that line but do like a pinch harmonic on it, you know, or can you do some like power chords and can you give it a little more distortion? Because we're going to try to, you know, it's like maybe it's like very clean and like trappy on the record, but we want it to feel more like, I don't know, like trap rock, industrial or something, you know.
100%. Now, I'm so glad you said that because that makes me feel infinitely better because whenever I have to do this and I look at a guitar player and I go, could you do that but you know, like,
Well, having a vocabulary for it is important. I mean,
I know, yeah, but that's that definitely is something where I think about whenever I'm in a position where I'm talking to a guitar player and or a keyboard player or anybody, and I can tell them kind of the gist of what I'm looking for, but being able to articulate, yes, the vocabulary is really good, but knowing the song like backwards, forwards, everything sometimes is just in my view is just like impossible to know every song at that level, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's like at a certain point we're hiring people because we trust them.
Right,
you know?
that's
like,
very true.
I
Yeah.
trust it. Like I joke around, but when I like onboard people into the band and I like kind of go over the tunes and stuff, like one of the things I say a lot, and it's dumb, but I'm like just like, hey, follow your heart on this one. You know, it's like you know, you're in this opportunity because like we really trust you to do it. Like you're an incredible bass player, guitar player, keys player, whatever.
Right.
Just do like what makes sense to you. And it's going to be fine. You know, you're a great musician. So
The first gig that you were MD on that I was on, I wanted to call you and go like, so what notes should I play? Yeah. In general, start at the top of the set. But I think a lot of the things are it's having that wherewithal to anticipate potential mistakes. So calling out chords, whenever you've had to do that in gigs that we've done together, we're playing the same chord progression for 2.5 minutes. Where the guitar player and bass player are up dancing around and interacting with people, and you're like, hey, flat seven's coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I would have missed it for sure.
Yeah.
Or there's a fight in the audience.
Yeah.
You get distracted by these things.
Totally. And I also like, I want the musicians, like I can't move around. I'm behind a drum set.
Right.
So for me to have like a little chart to be thinking or whatever, I'm going to be into it. But you know, if you're a guitarist or bass player and you're on wireless, you're like moving around, you're interacting. I don't want you to be thinking about charts. I don't want you to be thinking about the chord progression. So if I can relieve the stress of you going, okay, I have to wait until this lyric and then it goes to this other random thing out of nowhere, or I have to remember it's 32 times and then this, like I don't want you to be thinking about that at all.
Right.
And again, without, you know, weeks of rehearsing, there, you know, it's just not going to happen. So I would rather be the one that just says, hey, this is coming up, be ready for it. And then they don't have to be thinking about it. And they can be way more free to be performing, knowing he's going to be in my ear to let me know. Like, I've got you guys back. You know?
There were times where you'd be like, do I need to call that out? And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you have been, so you might as well keep calling it out.
Yeah.
Because we know it. We're not going to miss it, but it's nice to have it there.
Yeah.
I like that perspective. That's really good. So, what led you into getting into the music directing position? Was that like, is it just because you're a drummer and it just is easier for drummers to do it, or?
I mean, I think that's part of it. I oftentimes will see like, you know, bass players and drummers as MDs.
Yeah,
you
bass
know,
players
like
make a lot of sense too. Yeah,
I think it's typically bass players, honestly. When I think of, you know, like somebody like Adam Blackstone or something, you know what I mean? Or even like Maggie Rogers, MD, is a bass player.
Yeah.
I think there's something about being, especially like rhythm section people, that like we are thinking about. We're such a supportive role that we're thinking about the big picture. A lot of times, we're not just thinking about our own instrument. And so that helps. But yeah, I guess how I got into it is just sort of like saying yes, you know?
Okay, yeah.
I was like, you know, the vocalist that is the band leader like approached me saying, hey, like, can you do this? And I was like, yeah. Like, it's like, I
Totally,
I
yeah.
guess like, I don't think I have before necessarily. I mean, I feel like I in general, I'm kind of like a natural, this sounds like really, but I feel like I'm kind of a natural leader, you know?
Sure.
And so.
You 100% are.
Well, yeah, it feels weird to say that.
I think, but I would
that
say
means it's accurate though.
I think I am too.
Yeah.
And so there have been times where we're working together where I'm like, nope, it's not me, it's him. Where I'm just like, he's got it. And then like I'll say that to myself, and not 2 seconds later, you're like, hey guys, and I'm like, oh fuck, there it is.
But yeah, I mean, it's like so like definitely like leading rehearsals is something that I'm used to, you know.
Yeah.
Or just like leading bands in general, because that's also like a huge part of musically what I'm doing.
Right.
And there's certain, I don't know, I think it was Aaron Parks, who's like an incredible pianist, but he did like a masterclass thing, and he talked about being like a rhythm section player and talking about like the masculine and feminine energy that you need. And like the masculine energy is like sort of like this idea of like, you better, you know, be on top of it, you know, like,
Yeah.
if and translating that to music is like, if you're dragging, I'm going to play like, you know, more clearly at you to get your attention to go, oh, ooh, I better get up, you know, on tempo. And then there's like the feminine energy of that, of like, I'm supporting you. I'm going to make you feel comfortable, you know, like
Right.
I've got your back, you know? And so it's like having those two things as a drummer, I think that translates really well into being a, you know, music director, a person on talkback as well. It's like, I'm going to do the homework to know the big picture of this whole thing.
Right.
I'm going to try to foresee if there's, you know, a potential problem that's going to come up, or if I'm going to be finding things that keep it really interesting and, you know, whatever. But that's kind of how I fell into it. I did that with that one band that we tour with. There's a couple other, like a country band that I play in that Dave subs in sometimes too, that I've been doing that more in, which has really, really tightened us up quickly.
That's great.
And I think the leader of that was kind of like, oh, I guess, like, if you want to do talkback, sure, you know, whatever. And then we did one gig of it, and he's like, you know, like, we're doing this every time, you know, just like it, because we don't rehearse. So like it really tightened everything up immediately.
That band, I had done several gigs with that band without you doing that.
Yeah.
And I've since done one or two with you doing that, and it made a huge difference. And it's like, we have the ability to have talkback for anybody on stage, but making that choice and having you back there was like, the gig was so much better.
Yeah.
And there was in that regard, when we're not rehearsing, when bands don't rehearse, having someone who can talk and communicate with the band without the band having to make eye contact at each other, and keeping that performance facade up that we know what we're doing, is a huge game changer. Massive.
Absolutely.
What are some of the examples of, in your experience up to this point, of bad music directors that you've had? I can start.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I'm taking a lot of this idea, and a lot of this stuff comes from like the church world, you know? And I think, I mean, if you look at like any, pretty much any like hired gun, huge arena touring band, it's mostly like church players because they're used to this kinds of stuff. But yeah, I mean, right off the bat, like bad, inefficient rehearsing or not having, I used to play at a church where, you know, like we do a run through, and the bass player, who, you know, has only been awake for 15 minutes and hasn't had coffee, plays the wrong, or it's like a volunteer bass player plays the wrong route. You know, they play the 4 when it's supposed to be the 5 chord, and it's all of a sudden this weird clashy thing. And the music director will go, "Oh, that's cool. Let's if you want to go to the 4 chord, let's all try that. Let's go back to letter B, and we're gonna try." And it's like, no.
Derails the whole rehearsal.
Like, he wasn't trying something creative. He made a mistake, and like, you should just say, hey, it's a 5 chord, or don't say anything. And when you do it next time, if it's not fixed, then you say something.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't need to derail everything, or like, you don't need to take everybody's opinions.
Like,
you know,
interesting. Let's investigate.
Yeah. It's not a democracy. Like, it's like, if you're the music director, you have to have the confidence. That's what I was saying about that masculine energy of saying like, this is what it is.
I think there's a really interesting thing too. This is obviously like on a much lower level, but I've heard this a lot where like there'll be a mistake like that, and I'll hear someone go, "Who was that? Who did that?
Oh God,
who
don't do that.
Who was that?" And I'm like, if you heard the mistake and you're going to call it out, at least know what it was.
You need to know who it
At
was.
least
Yeah.
know what the fuck that was. Because why are you yelling about who that was and you don't even know what the fucking problem was? At least hear it, right?
Especially in that kind of context, if you get mad about that in like a high school marching band, it's okay if you don't know who of the 200 people it was who was wrong. But
Yeah.
you've got like 5 or 6 people to pick from.
Well, I mean, going back to what you said before, if we're having fun on stage, it gives the audience permission to have fun. If we're not having fun on stage, it gives the audience chance, like permission to watch what's going on and try and figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's way harder to begin having fun after something going wrong than it is to ignore something wrong and just have fun through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ian in the chat asked, do you need, what did he say? I can't really read it from
Do
here.
you need to talk into the mic to talk back? Is it through your in-ears?
Yes, it's through the
Yes.
in-ears. Talkbacks are usually triggered by a button if you're not a drummer. So it's like a foot pedal that will engage the microphone so that you can communicate with just the band. But Connor, what is that thing you use?
It's called an optogate.
Optogate.
Yeah, and you know, another one of our friends that does this for a cover band. He's playing bass, and his foot is controlling. It's got MIDI pedals to control Ableton to like go on to different tracks. So he doesn't use a foot switch for talkback, but he has an optogate also. And I've seen that in a lot of churches as well. But basically, it's got an infrared light on it that will, if you're not close enough to the mic and you can change the sensitivity, then it'll gate the mic, which meaning it'll mute it. It's totally muted unless you get right up on the mic, then it'll turn on, and then when I get away, it's off again. Because I don't want to be, if you have just an open microphone and I'm just like bashing, it's just
It's just the most raw, shitty drum
it would be
sounds right in front of
terrible.
my ears.
Yeah, just awful tinny cymbals covering up this, what I'm trying to say. So
It's
yeah,
pretty funny though.
So it would if that was like just like the constant shh for shh.
Oh yeah, no, it's like make the sound. Dude, it's fucking bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's what he's doing, and it's really effective.
Yeah. I played, it's just Memorial Day, and on Sunday I played a gig, and the front of house engineer, who's also the bass player, didn't mute me in the house. So,
Oh no.
so apparently it was really quiet, but I was definitely like making jokes, or I was saying banter, like, it's like the song ends, and I'm like, thank you. This is the name of our band. Like, we're going to do some more Chris Stapleton for you. And I'm like trying to feed the front guy lines because this is like, you got to be talking to the band or talking to the audience.
Talk to the audience, yeah.
And then I kind of like heard it, and I was like, oh, it must have just been a weird thing in my ears. And then like later on, I said I don't remember what I said. But I think it was like we broke, and I was like verse or something, and then it was definitely in the house, and the bass player went over and like turned me down. He goes, "Sorry, we just changed the channel last minute, and I forgot to. I was in a different channel than I normally was, and it was fine. It really didn't matter at all."
I was playing a gig one time where the drummer had the talkback, and he's telling us during sound check, he tells the guitar player, "Hey, when we do this song, I want you to play the opening riff and stop. We're going to do that several times. I want the audience to be interested to hear the song." Cool. Then sound check is done. Something happens between sound check and showtime where the front of house mixed up the channels. The drummer's talkback was very loud in the mains. We get to that point of the show. The guitar player doesn't stop. He continues playing the riff. And it was Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Yeah.
So he was supposed to go ba ba da 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 and stop.
Yeah.
And he went da 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 and went into it.
Let's go, girls.
Exactly.
Hey, I almost said
Dude,
it.
what a perfect fucking thing to have on the board. Anyway, the drummer in the talkback goes, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And he goes, "Are your ears on? Like, do you need to clean the shit out of your ears? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you not listening to me?" And everyone I saw were playing Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and I saw everyone in the audience go, "What's happening?"
Like,
And then
sorry, the radio frequencies must have crossed.
Yeah.
We're picking up a local radio station. Whoops.
So they fixed it, and then we got away from it. But it was kind of like everybody was looking around, like, did that really happen?
Yeah, you can't move past that.
The audience was like, "Did we just hear that?" It's like that scene in Fight Club when they're splicing pornography into the movie for a second,
yeah.
and all the parents are like, "Oh, what was that?" And then they just kind of ignore it because it goes away. It was so funny.
That's also like the gall to just say that to somebody.
Oh yeah. I mean,
if it'd be one thing if I was going to ask, now I have the answer of, is this a separate wired system? Because that's what I would
No.
think should be the case in my head. Because like, how bad could this go? Sounds
There
pretty
you
bad.
go.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of horror stories of like churches accidentally sending the talkback mic into the live stream, you know, and it's like if it's on live stream,
And nobody's
nobody
gonna
in the
notice.
church in the house would know. Only people that are online, and it's or people like, you know, they're like joking around while the, you know, person's giving the message or whatever, and like maybe saying some inappropriate things for church that are just like getting put out on the live stream.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of shenanigans that could happen.
That will get you fired.
Ooh, yeah.
God, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Another.
That should definitely be wired separately. Like they have it, like theater, like backstage, like stuff for house, like production things. That's
Oh,
a separate
yeah.
system. It doesn't touch the board.
Well, the problem is we
For
need
that,
it. We
that's
need it like
obviously different.
in our ears. We're
Yeah,
getting
right.
the music, so we can't have a
So it
separate.
has to get mixed in somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to use like two different parts of headphones.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not going to work. But another example of bad music directing that I've experienced many, many times is in these settings, you have to be using in-ear monitors to have a talkback mic.
Yeah, you can't have a
Otherwise,
floor
it'll
wedge.
be talkback and floor wedge.
having a click through.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love the idea of like going into a place that just has like floor monitors and all you can hear is just like someone's voice just coming back as stage sound.
Tell the audience. Tell the audience we're having fun.
Yeah.
But because of that, when you're using in-ear monitors, the 99% of them are meant to be noise canceling, and so you also can't communicate with your band members because they have these earplugs in that are blocking the sound. I know I've played many gigs with this music director that had a talkback mic that refused to use it because he would forget that he had it because he would get so upset that something wasn't happening the way he wanted it to be, and so it was a lot of times it was drummers. So instead of just pushing the button and going, "Hey, can you do 4 on the floor? I know it's not in the song, but just do 4 on the floor."
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Right? He would spend months looking at drummers going like this and waving his fist, turning around and waving his fist at drummers. And like I saw a drummer get fired. And I'm like, I would go up to him after the shows and go like, "Hey, can you please use your talkback?
Yeah.
Everybody will be happier." One time I didn't
I think I know what band you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
I would love the idea of like you know how sometimes like someone walks up to you and is like they're like talking and they make a hand motion and they're trying to like shake your hand or something
Yeah.
you don't really understand what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that music director is like doing like the fist pumping like for 4 on the floor and that drummer just looks and starts playing one-handed and starts like going back.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
fist pumping back.
Any number of things could happen.
You can easily misunderstand it. It's like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Or does that gesture mean to speed up a little bit? Does
Oh,
it,
sure.
does it
Yeah,
play
yeah,
more
yeah.
energetically?
Yeah.
It
Not
could be
like
any
it's
number of
standardized,
things.
Yeah.
But he would. We were playing "You Shook Me All Night Long" for the first time, and it was called "In the Moment." I didn't know it. That song is fine until you get to the solo section.
Yeah.
The rhythm section is very syncopated. I blew right through it.
Yeah.
Blew right through it. And in that moment, or moments like that, he had no problem clicking the talk back on, and he said to me, "Boy, you really left me with my dick out on that one." And I was like, "Cool. So you do know how to use the fucking talk back."
Also, you could have said beforehand, you could have said, "Hey, Dave, I know you haven't played this one just in case you don't know it. Right here, we go to this unison thing," and sang it to you.
Yep.
Like, that's what I would try to do if I was, you know, in that position.
So that's
is
bad
wild work.
music directing.
Yeah.
That is truly
Another
wild work.
I want us to talk about the last song of the last show of the tour we were on. And here's another reason that Connor is a good music director. What happened? We don't have to mention the song or whatever,
Yeah.
but what happened during that
So, yeah, I
encore?
Yes, it's an encore. We finished the supposed last song, and then I go to fire tracks for the encore, and nothing happens. And so I like check to make sure that my ears are plugged in, and I like stop it. I restart it. I trigger them again. I see the you know, whatever the thing is called, like the playback head moving.
Yeah.
But I don't hear any audio, and I'm not seeing anything metering. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I'm like, it must be my ears. So I'm like on talkback saying like, I need new ears. Like something's messed up. I did kind of, you say that, oh, you did such a good job, but I totally feel like I failed in that moment because I was like, I hadn't thought through protocol for that happening yet.
That never happened.
It had never happened before. So anyway, I'm like, I need new ears. Like, what the hell? I think I said spicier things than that, but
There's maybe one or two choice words.
Yeah, there's a couple. I was really like in a what are you gonna hit me with over here, Hagen? Are you gonna...
Just can we get something? One of the things you were gonna say?
No.
He was gonna be.
Oh yeah, nice. I thought you were gonna like record it, like sample. I was like live sampling. Here.
No,
Wow.
no.
I can, but
But so during this, just to set the scene, stage is dark,
Stage is
except
dark.
for the spotlight on our singer.
Yes, and there's 2,400 people.
Yes.
In
the
a
audience.
huge theater. Yeah,
Waiting to hear this song.
Waiting to hear the song because it's like we've teased now that we're going to do an encore.
Yeah.
Um,
The visuals were tied to the tracks.
Yeah.
Which is why we had a lot of reasons why we had tracks. So also horns in the tracks.
Yeah.
Things
So
like that.
yeah.
Anyway, so the visual wasn't going.
Yeah.
And I have the footage from the house.
Yeah.
You can see me run across the stage when you say I need new ears.
Because you grabbed him from Ben, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
I ran over the other side of the stage to our keyboard player.
Yeah.
I went to our monitor mixer. And I was like, he can't hear anything. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then I grabbed Ben's our keyboard player.
But did you grab his pack for
His
me?
pack,
Yeah.
yeah.
I said like I need a new pack.
Yeah.
Because I was on wire. I think I was on. Was I wired or wireless?
You were wired.
Okay. Yeah, I was wired.
No, we were wireless that
Yeah,
day.
yeah. I hate wireless
Yeah.
for drums.
Yeah.
I'm not moving. I don't want to be on wireless
Yeah.
because there's always going to be some weird RF where it's like I just hear shh and like everything cuts out for a second. I'm like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, I need a new pack. So I get a new pack and I like trigger the tracks, fire it. Nothing happens. I'm like, and then I don't remember exactly what happened. I know that you have the recording.
Yeah, our singer is notices something's happening.
She goes off stage. She has a talkback also in case like there's a costume malfunction or something. She has a talkback for to communicate with the band as well.
Backstage.
Yeah.
So she says we need to stall and I'll do something. So she walks out and hypes up the audience a bit more.
Yeah.
And she says, I think we have one more song. This is why I'm saying you nailed it.
Okay.
Because then we get it figured out. You're like, I'm going to do this without ears. You had told us we're doing it live.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, I did say fuck it, we're doing live.
And
That must have felt cool.
and she, while in the midst of the chaos, she said, I don't know, what does that sound like? And you came in with the drum intro perfectly, as if it was part of the show.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying you handled it really well.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up working out great. And also, that encore is a song that like we've all played a million times. And it doesn't need like, some of the other songs that we play are like, they have a whole wall of synths.
Right.
It's like we have one keyboard player. He only has two hands.
He's very
right?
capable, but not
yeah,
that capable.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody is.
It's like you need to have like, all these oh, nice. Yeah. Like an arpeggiator, and then also this pattern, and this is running a thing, and there's a synth, like a lead line over here. It's like you couldn't do that, or there might be 4 guitar tracks, and it's like our guitarist is playing the lead guitar part, but all the rhythm stuff,
Yeah.
Like there's a choir.
Yeah, exactly, or a bunch of background vocals. This song didn't really need any of that, so it worked out perfectly, and it's also like. We'd done it a million times, and it was just like, actually, this one would work out perfectly just as a live band. And I think, it was.
It sounded great.
Yeah, exactly. It was as it was meant to be.
Right. Okay, so that kind of leads me perfectly into the next thing that I'll talk about, which is we do a thing here for anyone who has been on tour. We used to do this. So a slight background was we've been doing this podcast now for a long time.
Yeah.
And it started off as like having like local bands on, and then we would have like bands on tour. So we usually would do a segment called Tour Stories. Okay. So it's perfect for you two, as you just gave us a tour story. But the premise of the tour stories is give us a tour story, like give us a high and a low. Okay, and it doesn't have to be from the same tour. It doesn't have to be. It can be from wherever. Dave, you've told us a lot, but is there something you haven't told us from
that tour that we run together?
Yeah, could you kick us off with
Should we explain the cream goose?
I mean, you said it in the intro, and that's.
I wanted to breeze past it.
Is that a high or a low?
That's a high.
It's definitely.
It's a high in the moment. It's a low in the morning after.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
well, did you want to explain it? Or?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so
You're the mastermind.
we get to Canada for this tour, and what we're doing for this first tour is a bus tour. So we fly there. We get Madonna's old tour bus.
Yeah, the bus picked us up from the airport.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. All that.
That's a fun detail that you left out.
Yeah, a wild statement.
I don't know if I believe it. But
Oh, it doesn't matter if it's real or not.
Yeah,
it's just
but
like
we're
that's
gonna
what,
You
say
guys
it.
have to keep saying that.
we were told that, so that's what I'm going to keep regurgitating.
Yeah. You're operating with the information you have available.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not clairvoyant. I can't. Who knows? That's a good vocabulary word.
It's a $10 word.
That's like 30 points on Scrabble. Yeah, so we get picked up in this bus. It's cool. Blah, 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 blah. It's already like stocked. I think there was some leftover stuff from the previous tour that had gone through. So there was, there was alcohol, but it wasn't. It was like the bus had a sponsorship with a vodka brand.
Yeah.
And so
Was it specifically a Canadian vodka brand or just?
I would imagine.
I didn't recognize it, so probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, like the bus is stocked with alcohol. The alcohol is like 2 bottles of wine, 8 bottles of vodka, and then 1 or maybe 2 bottles of cookies and cream liqueur. Like it wasn't like Kahlua or like it wasn't like and it wasn't even like a real brand. It was like Kirkland brand, or something.
I could do some wild work with that.
Yeah,
You would love it.
So we were
After a show. After a
is
show,
crazy.
our lovely tour manager would have like a 12-pack for us.
Yeah.
And we blew through the 12-pack.
that 12 pack took all of 6 seconds. to
Yeah,
go
there was
through.
like 7 of us.
Yeah.
It might have been a couple of 12-packs, but we went through it. And we were like, well, we don't have anything
It
left.
might have been 50 beers. There's
We-
really
we-
no
well,
way
we
of
just-
knowing.
It might have been 4 12-packs per person.
in the words of Austin Bird, we deleted that.
Yeah, we
alcohol.
deleted that
we just
alcohol.
deleted it. Yeah.
So we're on the tour bus. There's nothing else to do. It's 12 o'clock at night. We're all excited to be on tour. Then Connor has the great idea, looking in the freezer on the bus, to mix. And what did you mix?
Yeah, we got the vodka and the cookies and cream liqueur, and
It was Grey Goose vodka.
yeah. To me, it wasn't the other non-name brand,
They had Grey Goose for some reason.
but it was like
There's actually someone who would say you committed a crime. Like,
it's legal in Canada.
oh, okay.
But yeah, it's like I was like, well, I like a White Russian. This is White Russian-esque. This is a White Canadian maybe. But
It's maybe really
the Canada Goose.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
was Grey Goose
Jesus
and cookies and
Christ.
cream. So I called it a creamed goose.
Creamed Goose.
And
And-
was it good?
It got the job done.
I refused.
Sure.
I refused to have some the first night.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would be okay.
It was fine.
Yeah,
You
well, I
could
mean,
do worse. People have done worse.
People
Yeah,
have
we've
done
done
worse.
lots
well,
worse.
we've done worse, I'm sure.
yeah. So then the next night, I think it was one of the next nights, the other person on the tour that was involved in the production of the tour heard about that and got us another bottle of cookies and cream liqueur.
Yeah.
And a bottle of, and we made everybody on the crew.
Everybody had to try it after
a
one of the
cream
big
goose
theater
shot.
shows.
Yeah.
We were in like this like back green room, and
This really nice green room.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a gourmet meal.
and like the lore had just spread. So people were like, the tour manager's like girlfriend came over, was
Yeah.
like, I heard about these cream gooses
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's like everybody that was just around.
First
was
of
just
all, that's
pouring
not a
them.
thing people should be saying loud. Like, I
No.
heard about these creamed gooses.
Here's the funny part is that we got really defensive where they would go like, hey, I heard about like a creamy goose. And Connor would go,
no.
"The fucking cream goose. You're
not
saying
creamy."
it wrong.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Are they just giving this like liqueur away in Canada or what?
No, they mistakenly left it on the bus thinking we wouldn't touch it. We deleted the bottle.
Yeah, it was deleted for sure.
And then they heard about it and thought we might like another one.
At least, please tell me you had like ice and something.
No.
This is like warm.
Wow, you're
room
gonna water it down a creamed goose?
No, I want to just chill it. I just want to chill it a little bit. I'm not saying.
It was all chilled. It's pre-chilled.
Yeah, it was in the freezer.
Oh,
okay,
right,
okay,
okay. I
yeah.
forgot about the freezer bit. Okay, I was like, okay. I was like, you got to chill that down a little bit. Okay, but okay, yeah, freezer. Okay, perfect.
Room temperature.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah. That's
No
what I was
cream.
thinking.
No, there's no room temperature cream. No, we're not doing that.
There it is.
Well,
What's a tour low?
that also might be a tour low. The next morning might have been.
Sleeping on the bus after 7 creamed gooses.
Actually, I gotta say, I love sleeping on the bus. Sleeping on the bus was
Really?
like, yeah, dude. For me, it was just like,
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's
It's
surprising.
a formidable size.
No, I'm
It's above average.
Supposed to
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
sleeping on a bus.
Yeah.
No, but it was just like the idea of the convenience of it. Like it just felt like summer camp. Like you're just like drinking with your boys, shooting the shit, being idiots, and then it's like, all right, time to go to bed. You walk 2 feet into a hallway, and then you're in your bunk. It's great.
Yeah. That's true. Okay.
I hated it.
I know you hated it.
I
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
hated
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm not like claustrophobic or anything. Also, you were on the floor, and I was on the top,
floor.
so I don't know if that made a difference. But
Oh, that's why the people who had done this before were like, yeah, we got middle. We got middle.
Yeah, middle
is
middle
that
is
the
middle is
secret?
the easiest because you don't have to climb up and you're not by people's feet. But
Right.
I like the top. I mean, top is cool too because I have nobody above me. I don't know. It feels.
Yeah, I didn't like being on the bottom bunk. It was not fun.
Yeah.
I got little sleep on that tour. It was like a week long. I got little sleep.
Yeah.
And I also eventually elected to just stay up all night.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like if you guys are all hanging out,
Yeah, we're hanging out, it was
Not,
fun,
who's not
but,
hanging
like-
out, but everyone's up all
Yeah.
night anyway, right?
Well, yeah, there'd be like shifts too. Like some people would like wake up and like go hang out, and then somebody else would go to bed. But there's like in the front like room, kitchen area. You know.
There's always somebody.
Yeah,
up.
there's just kind of there's a bus driver.
Oh, true,
Yeah.
true,
But,
true.
but like
yeah.
you know, Pat, who is also such a sweetheart.
Such a sweetheart. So, do you think that where do the music director duties end for you? Like, are you also a music director off stage? Because I've seen you do a lot of things behind the scenes that people might not even see if they go see a show and see you music direct, where you're working with the lighting director,
Yeah.
you're working with the front of house, you're working with the monitor people, you're working with the tour manager.
Yeah. I mean, I think my main goal is to just make everything as good as possible. Because if everything is really, really great, that means we're going to get hired more, which means I'm going to have more work. You know, it's like, it just seems that
Yes.
simple to me, right? So if we're going on a tour and we don't have our normal front of house person, I'm going to communicate certain things to this front of house person, you know, of like, hey, you know, this song needs to be very track heavy. This song, there's going to be a guitar solo, so please, you know, bring him up in the mix. This one, or, you know, talking to the lighting director, hey, it looks like, you know, the singer is like dying at this point. Don't take the lights off of her. This is part of the act. Like that needs to be, it's like a vaudeville thing. Like put all the lights on her, you know, or
Right.
if the band is playing on stage and the vocalist is off stage, don't turn all the lights off. You know, give the band some lighting, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
or it's
yeah.
like if the band isn't playing and there's like a video thing where it's like a transition, don't put spotlights on the band when we're just like sitting there and there's like a whole video wall behind us.
Yeah, don't flood the video with lights.
Yeah, exactly. So like the little things like that where it's like, hey, I don't trust this person to, you know, we've done some gigs, like fly out gigs where the lighting directors have like watched our shows on YouTube and then like created scenes ahead of time and killed it.
Right.
And then there's times when it's like, they're just like a union person that's just like, whatever, I'm showing up today. Oh, this is what I got. Okay, cool. I'll just program some whatever. And I want to give them as many, you know, all the tools for success as possible. 'Cause
Right.
It's like, just, if it's going to make the product better, then that's what I want.
Yeah.
But you were clocking that as soon as we started sound check, because a lot of times during sound check at venues like that, the lighting director and the front of house and the monitor person are there with us during sound check.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can tell immediately when the lights start doing whatever they do, you're like, I gotta go talk to this guy.
Yeah. Or if they're going to put like lights right in the eyes of the musician, you know, it's like, hey, we need to move these. You know, it's not going to make sense.
So this sounds like, I mean, already off the bat, I think this is already assumed, but it sounds like you have a great deal of patience. Would you, yeah.
I mean, yes, but I think you also have to be pushy sometimes. For
Sure.
example, there was a point where we had been told we load in at this time, we sound check at this time, stage goes dark at this time. It had been 30, maybe 40 minutes after our sound check was supposed to start, and the people, like the stage crew, were like, you know, slowly walking around, dropping cables, like drums were
Catching
not
up with each other.
Yeah, drums were not mic'd yet. You know, like lights were sort of getting positioned. And I was like, I told our monitor guy who is Canadian and has worked with these theaters before. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be a dick, but like, what the fuck? You know, like we're
Yeah.
supposed to have started 30 minutes ago and we're not even close.
Right.
Like what is going on? Why are people talking right now? Like
Yes.
they should all be frantically going, oh shit, I can't believe we're not ready to go yet.
Right.
You know, it's like we're renting the theater. It's like I'm sure it doesn't matter, but that guy like went around and goes, hey, you know, like what's going on? And it turns out there was a miscommunication with the time, but it was still just like, you know, you have to kind of be patient, but then also like kind of draw. Sorry, I should stop doing that.
No, please keep doing it. I love it.
You know, draw a line in the sand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're not gonna put up with this.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah,
I think.
I'm sorry, Hagen. Hold your thought. I believe he said,
Fuck.
"Hey, I know you guys want to dick around and have coffee and stuff, but we got a fucking show to do. Can we pick it up?"
Yeah.
And all of us in the band were like kids in grade school. We're like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Because I don't want to be, for the sake of our like band and the image of this band, I don't want to come in and like big time these people and be like, hey, this is how it's got to be. But it's like,
Sure.
if this is a production person who has a relationship with them, it's going to be a different, you know, it's like the the artist that like doesn't want to talk to people, but they send their manager out to be the bad guy.
Right.
You know, it's like, hey, the artist really would love to see you guys, but like I have to cut it off because he blah blah blah. Blah. It's like, okay, the manager's bad, but the artist would have loved to see us. It's like, no, the artist didn't want to see you either, but they don't want their image to be tarnished, so they have this other person. So I kind of offloaded that to this other guy.
Yeah, but I think that was the right move. I think the other part of it too is even essentially on a tour like that, when you're the music director, I think that it should be your duty to be the team captain. And that, I think, even extends to airports and things like that. Right? It should be airports. Like, if there's luggage and we don't have a crew to get the luggage, you are always the one that was like,
Yeah, I'm getting
hey,
the
guys,
carts.
can
Passing out boarding
I'll go
passes.
get carts. Can you guys grab that? Hey, can you grab that? Can you grab that? It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it's in this like not. I would say most bands I'm not doing that, but in this band specifically, because we do a lot of like air travel. Luckily, that it's just like if I can do 5% more and it makes everything run smoother, then I'm just gonna do that.
Well, also like having someone just being on top of everything, someone being, for lack of a better term. I mean, we have music director, but I think that like that
Like
is
a tour
so,
manager,
Like,
or,
I mean, band mom is like the one
Totally.
that comes to mind a lot, because like you might have a tour manager, but you also might need somebody, because the tour manager might be handling something else more serious. You might need somebody else to be like, hey, we need to be doing this while the tour manager's taking care of this, right?
Yeah.
I think that the pushy versus patience, that's such a real thing. I think the thing I note is that like if somebody's not doing what they're supposed to, or if a musician isn't doing what they're supposed to, or however many things you have to like tackle in just like the 5-6 hours, whatever you're at the venue, can be just so vast. So like the bigger piece of patience is that like I catch myself getting pissed and having to like I gotta walk away. I have to step away. Like I had an instance recently where it was just a local thing, whatever. We were playing for a couple hours at this restaurant, and like we also had like a rain issue, and it was outside, and like I was trying to be very clear with my band, like we need to be on top, like we need to be ready to either move where we're set up or be whatever. Yeah. And like they were just at the bar hanging out, and I can tell this story because I apologized to them later. But I walked up to like we're almost 30 minutes starting late because of the rain and the management. I'm trying to work with them. Like, do you want us to start here? Do you want us to wait? What do you want? They're like, whatever you guys want. I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Always an answer.
be decisive.
Yeah. So then I end up going to the band, and I'm like, guys, this rain's not gonna end for another hour. We got to start. So we need to get set up inside. So we need to start moving everything and start getting it like right. You like get everything going. And they're like, okay, cool. And they're just sitting at the bar, and I'm like, guys, we are working. We have to move. We are working.
Yeah.
And I said it much bitchier than that. and then after the gig, I was like, I'm really sorry if I was like really rude. I didn't mean to do that. I feel that I am generally a patient person, but it was in those instances, I'm like, I want to hang out and have a beer too and talk to you guys. We're literally 30 minutes into our hired set time.
Yeah.
We need to be already playing music.
Yeah.
So let's get to work and start doing that.
More hands make less work.
Yeah. Like I'm moving my drum set to be in this really tiny, like inside of a restaurant, and getting ready to like play like I'm like like just a muzzled dog.
Yeah.
And because we were talking about it, and they're like, oh, I don't really care if we play inside. Like that's fine. I'm like, fine for you, fucker. But anyway, yeah. So it's just like that's the kind of patience that I admire. Is like the you might have moments where like maybe you like are pushy, but like it's the difference between like being pushy and being an asshole.
Well, it's like it everything you do needs to be in service of achieving the goal that you want, right? So it's like, yeah, if being really upset is in if it's gonna help your goal be get achieved quicker,
It doesn't.
then do that. But most of the time, as we all know, that's like not the case, right? So it's like, maybe you are mad, but it's like, I observe myself being mad. Cool. I'm upset. Why am I upset? That's because it's not happening. Cool. Let me communicate this reason. Like, hey, I'm just getting a little bit frustrated right now because we're supposed to have already been starting.
Right.
And, it's like, it's how can I make this actually the most helpful version of the feeling?
And I can do that with all of the like people that are like the people who work at the venue or whatever, the sound people.
Yeah.
But when it's my band,
You're like, you bunch of knuckleheads, get your shit together.
I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
This is not our first time here. Can we please get to work?
Yeah.
But that's again, I think that also is like a potentially a sign of like just like I know them so well that like it's
like a family thing,
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You feel safe enough to be, an asshole.
Speaking about like some of the funny stuff we say on Talkback, I was going to try to pull up some of the examples that I've sent to you guys of you being a music director. One of the things is that
Bro gets back. Sorry, he gets back from you guys' first run, and we just finished like a live stream where every Friday we listen to new music.
Yeah,
we just finished one. He's like, dude, I have to show you this.
it was the clips I had sent to the band.
Yeah.
It's Connor. One of his things that he loves to say is, "We're having fun."
Yeah,
and
that's good.
It's great, but he's also saying it facetiously.
Sure. Yeah.
And but also now it's become no, you're not. It's like sometimes it's very appropriate.
It works itself into a cycle where it's like it's that thing where it's like if you're mad and you like fake smile, like it'll make you like happy or whatever.
So we're playing a song that's not a fun song. It's not like it wouldn't be played at a circus. And Connor goes, "We're having fun," and then maybe 10 seconds later he goes, "But sexy fun."
Yeah,
we're having sexy fun. And I remember like when you said that, I was like, okay, I guess I'll smile during this song. And then when you said it, I did like a model lips where I was like that. And then I made myself laugh.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite example though is we're on that tour and our guitar player plays a wrong note. It's like, and it was, we heard it, nobody in the audience heard it. And Connor goes, "Great job, Jake." Our guitar player's name was Jake, or something like that. And then I was laughing. I stopped laughing, and then I played a wrong note. And then Connor goes, "Great job, Dave." And we all start laughing. And like again, enough time goes by. He goes, "You guys are nailing it." Yeah. But there was no ill will there. We weren't like, "Oh fuck, we're getting fired," because we're all friends.
Well, it also is the difference between like the story you told earlier, where the guy it went out to the mains, but he like railed on the guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that's such a there's such a clear difference.
You can do it in a way without just being a dick.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can joke around about someone doing something like that with I mean, obviously, yes, if you're friends, but even if you weren't friends, you can find a way to joke about a mistake versus going, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?"
Yeah,
especially if it's something small that like the audience isn't going to tell.
Yeah, and also if they were blowing it the whole gig, I wouldn't be joking about it.
No, exactly.
It's like, like we've allowed this to be a joke because they are nailing it. So it's like for one thing, I can be like, "Hey, great job," and it's just like ha ha ha, and it's also like a, "Hey, we're all listening. Let's focus." You know what I mean? In a way that's not like, "Hey guys, let's focus and be perfect at this music." It's like, no, like we're having fun, but like I hear you, And if I did something, I would want that little nudge too. It's like it's like we're holding each other accountable, but it's still like out of love, you know.
But what's frustrating about you is that I've never heard you do something where I'm like, "Fuck, you made a mistake." I wanted to give you that little elbow, and I'm like, "Damn it!"
You wanted to hear a mistake and then run over on stage and go, "That sounded great."
Sounded great, Connor. Like so loud.
Into the overhead mic so they can actually hear it.
I did, dude. As a music director, I had a gig where a drummer was called to sub, had 2 weeks to prepare, knew that I was on the gig with a talkback, elected not to. Because he was like, "Dave's got it." I led him through the entire gig.
Dave's got it.
It was brutal, and he sounded great. Thanks to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing, like as a musician and also like as I guess in this role of music director, that it's like I want to make everybody's job easier.
Right.
And so it's like if that means I like take responsibility from the band leader so that they can focus on performing, I'm going to do that if I can handle it, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm the musician that's getting hired, I'm going to be so prepared that I don't sound like a sub. That's the whole thing for me. It's like if you're subbing somewhere, my goal is to make it feel so comfortable that they're like, oh yeah, Connor's playing drums. I thought it was our normal guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to start there. That's the best case scenario. Is everybody's done their homework. If you're not going to do a rehearsal, everybody's done their homework, and there's a music director that's just going to make the gig that much more fun.
Totally, because it gives you the confidence to be like, okay, cool. Like I know this stuff pretty well, but now I don't have to like focus on it because I have this person that's gonna make sure I got it.
So I have one more question for you, and perhaps this is something that you could maybe like bill us for, because I guess this is part of your job. Is there anything that you would like say to to younger musicians, younger drummers, or even like musicians that are gigging now? Any kind of piece of advice that maybe you wish you heard, or something that you feel like is just something that like is so important? Like we had a sound guy on, and I asked him this question, and his answer was, "Don't be an asshole."
Yeah.
So is there anything that you feel as though like you wish that you knew at a younger age, or that you're seeing younger musicians just not get, and you want to be like, this is really important. Like focus on this thing.
Yeah, there's like a couple things that come to mind. One of them is like from Peter Erskine. One of them is from Ed Soph. And then one of them is just, kind of a universal thing. But the Peter Erskine thing, he put out a article in Modern Drummer, I don't know how long ago, but he talked about how to get the gig.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this, this like bullet point list. But I remember hearing this like in a jazz camp in high school, and the drum teacher like reading us this thing. But one of the points was just like, be cool. And it's like, what does being cool mean? And it's like, it means that you're like prepared. It means that you're relaxed. It means that you're not trying to, do more than you can do. You're trying to serve the music. You're trying to like, build a relationship with the other musicians. It's like all these things that like the music business is like a people business, right? It's all about relationships. So if you find yourself as like a person who, can never remember people's names, or you maybe notice about yourself that when you get nervous, you only talk about yourself and you never ask questions. Like, recognize these things about yourself and try to improve your personality, right? There are a million people that can play as well or better than you. What's going to separate you is like how you are as a person. Really,
Right.
that's like the most important thing, right? Same thing as don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
If you're going to go on tour, how many hours of that tour are you playing music versus just being around other people?
Dude, it catches me off guard every time.
So it's like, man, if you're a tough hang, like I'm not going to recommend you to be in this band. I don't want to spend
Totally.
time with you. It's like you could be the most killing, virtuosic, ridiculous musician, but like if the 15-minute break between sets makes me want to kill myself,
Right.
then like why would I have you in the band?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. The thing from Ed Soph, I'll try to condense it as much as possible, but it's like when it comes to playing music, find musicians that you love and figure out why you love them, and then bring that into your own playing, right? If you don't have a model for what you're trying to do, then you can't really bring anything to the music, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to invent your own language but you don't have a brain yet, it's not gonna work.
Right.
So yeah, I have this. Sometimes I share this with musicians when I'm maybe like drunk and talking with other people about whatever. But there's a class at UNT where all the rhythm section players play, and the rhythm section faculty critique you and give you whatever. And there was one where like the band just like we were not playing together, and the rhythm section faculty just like tore the whole band apart, but like specifically tore me apart. And I was recording it like a voice memo, like to record it and then record the comments. And so I went back like that night, I think, and I was just like, after I wiped my tears away, I found like the part of this recording where it's just like Ed like ripping me, and I like
You're a
like,
teacher.
my teacher, and I just typed it all. I just transcribed everything he said. It's this like long note on my phone. I'll show you guys after.
Oh my
But
God.
in this, he's just like the most poetic, beautiful, like he's using humor. He's getting really serious. He's like citing all these examples without even like just from the top of his head. Like he's such a true master. But
Jeez.
as an educator and a musician, but one of the things in there is just like, listen to all, if you listen to three pianists, they're gonna have all different voices, but like what makes them great? Find those central qualities and then bring that in your own playing. And if you haven't done that, or if you haven't really like had models, then it's just like you're not really gonna
Right.
have a direction. So that's one other thing that's like extremely condensed of that. And then the last thing that I was thinking about is like don't. Especially not to be like a freaking boomer, but like don't compare yourself on social media to other musicians.
Yeah.
It's like just commit to your thing.
Yes.
And there's like this funny thing about ego where like if you're so full of yourself that you don't listen to anybody, that's obviously bad, right? But if you're also so self-deprecating and like so unconfident that you don't listen to people that are telling you that you're good, that's the same thing.
Right.
You've gone to the extreme and you've met at the other end where both things it's still bad.
Yes.
It will yield the same results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, just like be confident that you're on the right path. If you have like a, some sort of mentor or teacher or community that's like, supporting you or like maybe guiding you, just like keep doing that. yeah, just like seek out what it is that you want. Like there's no timeline, you know. It's like I had a student one time who's like, I feel so overwhelmed with like, should I practice this or practice this? I have the whole summer and I don't know what to practice. And I'm like, well, what do you want to practice? What do you feel passionate about? He goes, well, I want to practice this, but I know that. I'm like, no. There's no like, don't should on yourself. You know, just like, if this is what you're interested in, just follow that passion. And then it's going to lead you to something else. It's just like, just do the work consistently. It's going to yield results. Don't look at like, you know, some other musician on the internet and go, well, they're way better than me and they're 10 years younger. Like that's always going to happen. And it also doesn't matter because maybe they're a bad hang and maybe they live in a different country and they're not going to get your gig anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So just be on your path and like take that seriously, you know, take the music seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Love it.
Man, that's brilliant work right there. I think that like the thing that you hit on that I really love is the finding something that like finding other musicians that to fall in love with and letting that be a part of who you are as a musician. Yeah. I think that's something that like I don't think enough people are doing not for me to sound like a boomer. I don't think enough kids are doing that. I don't think enough young musicians are finding musicians that they love and are trying like because I've heard a lot of people be like, well, I don't want to sound too much like this. And I'm like, no, you want to like, and that's
and also you won't.
Yeah,
exactly.
That too. Yeah. So I think that's such a great thing to hit on, and I think those are 3 great pieces of advice. That's brilliant. Nicely done, man.
Thanks, man.
Good work. Do you have anything else for him, Dave?
No, that's great.
Okay,
Thanks
so
for doing
we do one more segment on this show, and that is what are we listening to? So we go around and we say some stuff that we've been really into. We try to aim for it to be new music, but it doesn't really matter for you. It's all new. So I will go first. I checked out the Callous Dowboys record. Adam.
I did not yet.
Okay, but what you said, is it a podcast you listen to?
Yeah.
Okay, then the host he's the museum guest or museum
he had narration that he recorded.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the whole album takes place in a museum. I think the museum name is Museum of Failure. I think is the name. But the whole yeah. But the album name is
put my records up in there.
Yeah. And just wait. The album name is I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. Yeah. But it's a really cool record. It's definitely like the Callous Dowboys really have done a great job of being like this like kind of noisier, hectic metal band. But they have quite a few songs on this record that are really leaning into more like I like some of it was pretty like indie poppy. And so it's a really cool listen. And the album starts with that podcast host doing.
I think I'm gonna have to listen to it because he talked about it again this week, and he's like, I realized I should be really proud of this. They're like a big band.
Dude, Fantano gave him a 7.
Oh, shit. He mentioned he was like this Fantano guy liked this album. Yeah. So like, I guess that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool record, and for anybody who's into heavy stuff, I couldn't suggest it more. But it definitely was a surprise. I didn't know it was going to be like a concept record as like taking place through a museum tour, and it definitely it took me back to like Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh
like,
shit!
Like turning
Songs for the Deaf.
Yeah, like it took me back to that because it starts with the museum like tour guide talking to you about what and he starts the last song by going like, and you're about to enter the last exhibit of the Museum of Failure for the Callous Dowboys, like goes the whole thing. He's like, and if you're not ready for this, if you don't feel like you are ready, come back to it later. You need to be ready for this last exhibit, and the last song's 11 minutes long, and it's great. It's
so cool.
It's a really cool like concept.
So it's like a concept album.
Yeah, I don't know how much the lyrics go into like the each exhibit,
but like leading into it though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Dave, what you got?
I'm still stuck on Briston's new record and the new Bon Iver record.
Nice.
So other than music, I'm learning this.
Dude, I've listened. Jimmy is such a good record. Briston crushed it. It's such a good album. Yeah. Adam?
I'm back on scores because I finished watching Andor, so I'm listening to the score for season 1 and 2 of Andor, which had different composers.
Really?
Yeah, Nicholas Britell is the composer for the first season, and he had the deaf in the family, so he stepped back from season 2.
Okay.
The guy who took over for him was Brandon Roberts, I think.
Okay.
I hadn't seen his name anywhere, but he's done some stuff, and he does a really good job of doing his own thing, but kind of blending it, which if anybody's watched the show, you know that they kind of like blend musically from more of an electronic kind of like different for Star Wars thing into orchestral by the end of season 2. It's like, oh, now this is how it got to the orchestral Star Wars music we all know.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat. So
Super cool.
Yeah.
What do you listen to, Connor?
Man, this is such a tough question. I always feel like, oh no, what am I listening to? I think it's and I know Dave,
I mean, you can lie.
well, no, I know Dave does the same thing, but it's like, man, we have to listen to so much music for our job that
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, I do I like Chris Stapleton or do I just listen to him so much because
Stockholm syndrome.
yeah, because I have to learn it and I do like him. I do. He's an amazing artist.
I've been waiting for 2 weeks to listen to that Cowboys Cowboys record because
Yeah.
of all the other stuff I've been listening to.
Of course,
and
yeah.
I put it on yesterday morning, I guess, and I was like, God, fuck! I wish I would have listened to this fucking sooner.
Yeah, I've been so deeply in stand-up comedy and comedy podcasts recently, but some records I have been listening to. This is some hometown heroes, but this band called Invisible Architecture.
Yeah.
Matt Young on drums, one of the greats, one of our
One of the Mount Rushmore.
yeah, one of our
Mount Rushmore.
homies. And the Sky Window Crew. Essentially, I'm partially learning that because I'm playing tomorrow with them. But just like, man, Jordan Geen,
Yeah.
Jesus,
We're trying to get him on the show.
yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
He's
just
a little busy. Yeah. That's what I've heard.
sure is. I've been listening to some. I gotta go into my Spotify, or else I don't know what the heck. Oh, the last Father John Misty record, huge for me. Love that one so much. A lot of random things that I don't know if I would share.
That's totally fine.
You know, just like, oh, there's this random Peruvian house track that's cool. I'm like,
Cool.
yeah, whatever.
There's a Dawes lyric about Father John Misty where it's like, have you talked to Father, or can I talk to Father John? Is it true he has a monkey that knows how to tune his drums?
That's a pretty good lyric.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right. Anybody got anything else?
No, that's it.
Big thanks to Connor.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Connor.
much for
hanging
having
out.
me. It's
Dude.
awesome to come. Sorry, I hope I wasn't too serious. I feel
No.
like
No,
maybe
this was great. This
No.
was great. This was perfect. I have no notes.
Yeah, we talked about cream goose, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it so much. If you're listening on a podcast app right now, please follow, subscribe, whatever podcast app you're using. If you're watching on YouTube or on Twitch, please follow, subscribe on those. It's free. Press the like button too. It's also free. If you're on social media, DFTA Podcast on Instagram, Don't Feed the Artist on TikTok, go find us, press that follow button. And we're not doing Fun Fridays
Fun
this week.
Fridays.
Dave and I will be in the studio. Sorry you get shit on. Where is it actually? Hold on.
You're not going to do it from the studio?
We could.
No.
There you go.
We're not gonna do Fun Fridays from
I
the
don't
studio.
no.
I mean, it would just be a camera in the corner of the studio and just I'm not doing that. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, if you want to say hi to Connor, if you want to say hi to us, you can find us. We'll send the message. Or do you want to plug anything? I forgot to ask that. Is there anything you want to plug?
nothing really to plug. You know, Instagram, Connor Kent, CONNORKENT.
Perfect. So there we go. You can find him on Instagram if you want to. If you can't, the spelling that was really difficult, and you found us on Instagram, send us a message, and we'll send you his
We'll
way.
do the work for
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Yeah.
I say we, but it'll be Hagen.
Yep. Or you can email us at feedback@don'tfeedtheartist.com. We do love to hear from you. If you have like guest suggestions, topic suggestions, anything like that at all, or just want to like yell at us because everyone yells at podcasts in the car. Even our other co-host for the other show, Blake, yells at us in the car.
Yes.
So
And at work.
yeah, and at
And
work.
in public.
Yeah.
Frequently.
Yeah. So if you want to yell at us, right there, you can email us feedback@don'tfeedtheartist.com or DM us on those social medias. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it. It was a blast. Thanks again to Connor and
Fuck off! Get rid of town!
bye. Oh fuck. Hold on. I gotta press this one first.